The blues has always been a rich part of Mississippi history. Today we've traveled to Jackson, where we met up with artist H.C. Porter as she was working on her new project titled Blues at Home. We caught up with her, snapping pictures of blues legend King Edward at the Queen of Hearts, a blues joint with so much history that it has its own blues trail marker.
I'm H.C. Porter, and I'm a Mississippi storyteller.
H.C.'s portraits have been described as painting the blues instead of playing them. Making her colorful portraits is a three-part process: photography, silk screening, and then the final touch, the bursts of color that add so much life to her paintings. And even though she settled in Vicksburg, she says it was the Belhaven district in Jackson that helped her find her style.
That's really where my career kind of jumped off, because I began documenting that 6-block neighborhood that surrounded my studio. And every day I had young faces that would pull up on their bicycles, throw themselves in my front door. Well, what do you do? Well, I'm an artist. Well, we want to paint. Well, of course you do. You know, it's fun. So we ended up setting up a project called Avenue for Art. And it was an 8-week project every summer that exposed the kids to whatever we could. Found object printmaking, mask making, totem poles. We did really cool projects. We had about 58 to 12-year-olds every summer that experienced this project. And as a result of that, being involved directly with the kids and their families, I started photographing those kids. So when people talk about H.C. Porter and the imagery and the style of H.C. Porter, people immediately go to what they know as these documentary portraits of kids that I was directly involved with. Then it kind of grew. My work, when I would look at these images as a photographer, I realized that I didn't want to just be a photographer. I also wanted to be a painter. So that's where I was able to combine printmaking into the whole process.
Her first real introduction to the blues was at the old Subway Lounge in Jackson. It's not standing anymore, but the sound and the feel of the place stayed alive in H.C.'s memory. As a matter of fact, back in her 20s, that's where she met blues legend King Edward, who she's actually shooting today at the Queen of Hearts in Jackson. And the reason she's shooting him there is part of the philosophy behind the Blues at Home project, showcasing blues legends in a setting that's important to them.
Well, the Queen of Hearts was the first one that started the blues. It wasn't no Subway, it wasn't no other club. This was the place of the blues right here. And when I came here, I was looking for a job, and the man said, well, hey man, I got a little club down there, you want to play for me? So I got up here and formed a big crowd.
King Edward still plays at the Queen of Hearts, and he's still keeping the blues alive and well, which is something he thinks is pretty important, and one of the reasons he wanted to be involved with H.C.'s project.
Well, really, the younger folks need to learn about the blues, where they come from. You know, when I grew up, I've been playing 50 years, you know, and I done met everybody, B.B. King, Babbitt King. Well, what is happening with the blues had been hid after this rap came out and disco then rap, and they dropped the blues, you know.
It's that idea of bringing the blues to the world that inspired H.C. to start the Blues at Home project.
This project is important, not only the visual pairing of painting and music is important, because I think as a demographic, this show can go out nationally and reach people with the blues that might not have ever been exposed to it. Of course, you can come to Mississippi, walk in a juke joint now, be exposed, fall in love with the blues. But somebody who's in Iowa and they go to an art museum and they happen to run across the Blues at Home project, have the opportunity to hear the music, see the faces of Mississippi storytellers, not only reflecting just our blues music, but our social and cultural experience too. So, Blues at Home, rare opportunity to kind of go behind the scenes into the more personal life of these individual blues guys.
Oh, this is my regular life. This is my life. This is my wife right there. And she ain't gonna quit me. You ever come home at night and you don't find nothing but your clothes there?
Yeah, that's actually happened to me. Yes.
It does give you the blues, don't you?
Yes, it
when
did.
you start singing, ah, woo. But she left Me, while I was on the gig, man, I was playing right around the corner from my house. And they moved all my furniture out my house, but left a bed and my clothes in the closet and a stove for me to cook on.
HC included blues musicians that had a special connection with Mississippi. Either they were born here, or they adopted the state as their home, or some other part of their history was tied to the area.
And yet as a state, we've realized how important the blues can be to our tourism, and it's one of our greatest national resources, really. My work starts as a photograph, and I create a high contrast image in silkscreen. So much the same way Andy Warhol in the 60s introduced Marilyn Monroe or Elvis Presley. The color, I just use my mind's eye to bring kind of what I'm hoping that I'll bring the reflection of what the blues man or woman has left on me. So you're seeing this vibrant image of color that just radiates, that reflects almost musical notes, I guess, in a way. You've got the coming and the going of the color, because I use complementary colors or secondary colors under those front colors. And that really gives that front color the intensity that people are familiar with in my work. So that contrast, that back and forth of play in the art can reflect that back and forth and then play in the blues.
HC says that overall she's documenting 30 different blues musicians throughout the state, and she says she owes a lot to her project manager, Lachlan Fields, who helped her set up the shots and record the oral histories.
Blues at Home is a celebration of art and music and storytelling, and it's an amazing project because it really showcases what Mississippi has to offer in the way of those things: music, art, storytelling, and it combines them and gives the viewer an experience that is really an experience of a lifetime.
So with this project and documenting the Mississippi's bluesmen, they're the ultimate living legends of storytellers, and it's amazing. Mississippi has such a history and so much to be proud of in these gentlemen, and I hope people will come and experience, not just hear the blues with this project. Blues at Home gives you the opportunity to see the blues. So that is the focus and the goal of this project.
Blues at Home has already been booked at several different locations throughout the state, and after that, HC says she has plans to go national. HC has big plans for the Blues at Home project. If you want to find out when the exhibition's headed your way, you can catch up with her at hcporter.com.